to episode 84 of the Destiny Digest podcast. I'm Dan Finity, and with us tonight we have almost a full panel. Tiddly isn't with us this evening, but we have everybody else. We have Bonafide Hero. We have Epic Dan. We have Sammy Cat. And producer Seth hiding in the wings. Hi, hello, how are you all?
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Welcome in, welcome in. So, as we talked about a little bit earlier, how has everybody's weekend gaming been? There's been a lot of like news that has come out. We've had all sorts of game announcements as well as awards and drama from the Game Awards this week. What all has everybody been doing?
Oh, I've been sleeping.
You've been
I have
sleeping.
not been. I have been
Well
sleeping.
deserved.
Yeah,
I have
dude.
been sleeping a lot. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
not been gaming much.
That's completely fair. You've earned
A little
some
bit of
rest.
Elden Ring,
Yeah.
some Destiny, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Did you hear about
trying-
the new Elden Ring game that's coming out next year?
Did.
It's like multiplayer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Co-op.
Night Rain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Co-op. Ugh.
But the crazy thing about it, for my Souls fans, is that there's a lot of enemies in the trailer from other Souls games.
Mhm.
So like you see the
That was
Nameless King,
confusing.
and it's funny because there's mods in Elden Ring, obviously, because on PC that has already brought those characters
Mhm.
into that game. So I was telling my child, I was like, it feels like they took a lot of what the community has been doing with Elden Ring
Mm-hmm.
and was like, we're just gonna make a actual version of this
Yeah.
instead. Or at least they took
Yep.
inspiration from it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I personally read that as, you guys like Elden Ring? God damn it, we're giving you more Elden Ring. Like, just,
And at least that one, they can't make any complaints about Game of the Year because it's a standalone
yeah.
title.
Exactly. Oh
Mhm.
man, when Jeff Keighley said that into the camera with like a little chuckle, I was like, yeah, that's the funniest you've been.
Yep.
But yeah.
Funniest been. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he's not known for his chuckles, his jokes, his japes. That's why he had
No.
Statler and Waldorf there.
I feel like my week has been the opposite of Sammy's because I've done nothing but gamed.
Yeah.
Like I've played so much, but it's also because I was trying to finish a Metaphor before the Game
Before
Awards, which I
Thursday.
did not. No.
You didn't? I
No.
am hesitant to ask because I saw that you posted a reaction video to like that moment in Metaphor. I have no idea what that
There's a moment
is.
that I've heard about, and it
Yeah.
was about 90 hours in, and yeah, it's definitely worth it.
It's wild. Okay, cool.
It's wild.
Okay, then that's definitely next year on the agenda, for sure. Bona, what about you, bud?
Mate, it's just like we were saying before that the whole year just feels like it's going by quick. I feel like the week starts Monday, Sunday, however you look at it. Monday, and then before I know it, it's Friday. Then before I know it, the weekend's over, and I'm back
Yeah.
to where I was. It feels like like a day ago. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I got like 2 days in last week of playing Destiny. Did some dawning stuff. Did some sort of, just some catch up
Mm-hmm.
sort of stuff. But yeah, not really much else other than that, other than just work and just IRL shenanigans. So,
Okay.
yeah, played a bit of the dawning.
Mhm.
It just feels like the same sort of thing as like
Yeah.
last year and the year before that. As you guys know, there's no like event activity really, is
Mhm.
there, other than just going through and making cookies and running around. I think they've simplified it a little bit more, so it's like you don't have to run around as much, but
Mhm.
still. Other than that, I had a big thing on the weekend for Pokemon Go again. So
You hopped in a van?
I didn't hop in a van. I'm hopping in a van tomorrow. That's gonna really be really weird out of context.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take photos of the van and send it to you.
Please do.
But yeah, basically, have you guys seen Game of Thrones? I only saw like Game of Thrones like last year for the first
I don't
time.
like how this
But
is
you guys-
going.
No. So
I don't either. I'm
you know the
confused.
red
I'm
bearded guy from the Wildlings, right?
Oh
I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
told that I'm Tormund from that
Oh
leading
my
the
gosh.
Wildlings. And there's a photo of me
Yes.
smiling. I'll
That's
send it to you.
amazing.
Of me smiling, walking down a road, and about 65 people walking behind me, following all on their phones, playing Pokemon Go.
That's so good.
So I'll have
Please
to
send
send
that
that out.
picture.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's great.
that was me this week.
Incredible.
Wait,
That
did you
sounds
say
fun.
you started watching that last week?
Last year. I only
Last
watched
year.
Game of Thrones for the first time last year.
Well, you're better than me. I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Right.
Couldn't
seen
get
it all.
I have
into
to
it.
quit this. Okay, either I have to quit this podcast or they need to go.
Couldn't get into it. I'm sorry.
Wow.
They just black out
Wow.
their cameras and they leave.
That'd be
Mm.
It's called
Mhm.
culture, guys. It's called culture.
Not recording.
Just-
Not recording.
Which is fine. I know a lot of people like Game of Thrones. Perfectly
Yeah.
fine. You know.
No, I know. I have
But
one
you know,
friend who
there's
hates
Breaking
it, and
Bad
they're
out
like,
here, so
not gonna watch it. You can't
Yeah.
get me to watch it. And I'm like, your loss. You should watch
Do you-
it.
Do you like TV that Daddy Pascal is in?
It's
The
only
Last
like
of Us?
5 episodes
Last
of
of
that
Us?
though, right?
Yeah, but it makes it worth it.
It is good though.
Well,
I've
so
watched
worth
it. I
it,
haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't played
It's like
the
what
game, but I
third
have
season
watched
in,
it.
it's still so worth it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Last of Us is really good, but
hmm
I don't know. Maybe one day in the future, I'll give it another shot.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That was literally me. I was just like, I'm so bored. There's literally nothing on TV. There's nothing coming out. I've watched
Mhm.
everything recently. I'm like, fuck, I'll just put it on. Like
hmm
that was me like a year ago, and it was like throughout it was kind of like, oh, this is what everyone's been talking about for like all these years.
Mhm.
I kind of knew the characters. I kind of knew what was going to happen because I heard everyone bitch complain about it over the past few prior
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So it's
The
kind
Red
of like
Wedding
lost
is
on you now if
probably-
you try and watch it.
The Red Wedding is
Mm.
probably the high watermark for that show of
Yeah.
like, especially if you were watching it and didn't know what was around the corner when that episode hit, or even if you're watching it now and
Mm-hmm.
like don't know what's going to happen with that. That's an incredible episode of
Mhm.
television, and it's pretty wild for the rest of the show. Yeah. This week, so we watched the Game Awards. There was some really cool stuff in there. Witcher 4 coming was a surprise.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That looks really cool. Intergalactic looks interesting.
Yeah.
What's that?
I liked it too.
It is from Naughty Dog. It's from Druckmann.
Yeah.
And Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing all the music for it. From Nine Inch Nails.
Ooh.
It was like the very last thing that they announced at the Game Awards before like doing the Game of the Year. And it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. There's
Agreed.
you can check out the trailer for it. The only thing that took me out of it was like seeing a spaceship with the word Porsche written on the back of it. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that's happening.
I just
That
assumed like
product
in this
placement,
like
man.
I
No.
just assumed in like the future, like we're obviously in this intergalactic world, and to keep it almost realistic, it's like, well, what happens if like 1,000 years in the future? Obviously Porsche can't make normal vehicles.
Yeah.
Now they're making like spaceships, like home stuff.
Yeah.
Or do they think they're like Nokia and they're just going to last that long?
I mean that too.
I don't know.
But they probably also are like they probably have like a stake in it. It's like how
Yeah.
you watch a show and there's obviously, man, Coke is really good for some reason in this show. So maybe Porsche's like, giving them some money for that.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
For sure.
and
You
it
don't
feels-
put a brand on there for no reason.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and like
Yeah.
Sony obviously had stuff on there because it's like going to be an exclusive. Kumail Nanjiani, his likeness was in there. So like they're
Mhm.
really pulling for people to be a part of this thing. And like with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, like that's a big pull as well. It like aesthetically, it seems like it's going to be a very cool thing. Drawing a lot on like retrofuturism, like or retro tech that you'd see in like a Star Wars, things along those lines.
We don't know what kind of game it is though.
Right, exactly. We just know what the trailer showed us, but
It seemed messy.
aesthetically,
There just was a lot. No, there
Yeah.
just was a lot in that trailer
yeah.
going on. I'm like, what actually are you trying to sell me
Mhm.
here? I'm
Mhm.
interested. I am intrigued.
Mhm.
I think. No, I mean, I really am. I just didn't know what to make of it all. There was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's definitely out of context, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that they set you, they show you a part of maybe a cutscene that's like after maybe a big event, too
Mhm.
far into the story for you to understand it. I agree with that.
Or just
The
a tone
concept is
piece.
cool, but
Like,
it also seems like it might be a early concept of like an opening scene as well. So.
Yeah.
You said it was a sequel too, right? And so
No.
there's also
No, this is a brand new
Oh.
IP.
Yeah, brand new.
okay.
Yeah.
It's from the Naughty Dog people. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, it looked interesting. At least it'll come out sometime in the next 100 years. So we'll
I'd give it 3 years.
3.
Way too early. Yeah.
Okay.
I just looked at it and I was like, we're probably 2.5, 3 years out. Because
Mhm.
it'll probably be like it'll be that year's big PlayStation drop. You know how
Mhm.
every year is like a PlayStation
Yeah, yeah.
big drop. Next year's
Yeah, for the
obviously gonna be
PlayStation
GTA
6.
6.
Mhm.
And then something else will be in 2026. I can see that being 2027, just from
Yeah.
the way it looks.
Mm-hmm.
I read
There's
this article about how publishers are putting pretty much all these different game releases on hold,
Yeah.
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 waiting to know about GTA 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's
Yeah.
kind of like because they want to do exactly not
That day.
what
Yeah.
what they're doing.
It-
Yep. Mhm.
It's not even like people saying we don't want to release like in that month window
Mhm.
of GTA coming out, right? Because
We don't
people
want
want
to
to
do it in
spend
that
their pay.
quarter.
You don't want to do it in that fucking year,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like there's games like even like
You'd
I
want to
play
do
a
it
lot of
before GTA 6.
Yeah.
no, you don't want to do it, but you know that's 100% game of the year. That's gonna hit game of the year no matter what state that comes in. We go mad at all these games because you know there's so much instability when it first launches and the servers are dog. But no matter what state that's going to come out, it's going to be game of the year, right? Everyone, and they say like people are going to be taken off work, and you're going to have this mass like sick week of people calling in sick to work, and companies are just going to be like left short-handed because of GTA 6. That's the power that this game will have. If you launch your game that year and you're hoping to get any sort of return on your game, like you know, profit-wise, it's just not going to be a good year for you. And I play like a lot of Star Citizen. We've been waiting like 12 years for this game to like get to some sort of bit where they're going to release a single player story open world thing for it. They finally announced that they're looking for 2026. But if GTA happens to delay again, Star Citizen 12 years in development is just going to be just gone. Like
It's tough. Yeah. That looked cool. There was nothing from GTA 6 at this year's Game Awards. There were a couple of other games that like piqued my interest. There was a soccer game called Rematch that was announced really early on from the team behind Sifu. That looked really cool. But outside of that, I played like a little bit of the Dawning stuff, and we're gonna get to that in just a little bit. But I checked out.
But also Borderlands. That was
Borderlands 4.
Anyone else plays Borderlands, but
Yeah.
Borderlands 4 is definitely interesting.
It's coming out in the next few months, right? Like early 2025 is what they're saying.
It depends. Generally, historically, Borderlands games have come out in September. At least the big IPs, not the sequel, the non 1, 2, 3, 3. They've always been like in September.
spin-offs.
I don't know. That's pretty big for me. I started in Borderlands, so that's kind of where I got my start before Destiny. And Destiny kind of got a lot of its initial inspiration from Borderlands. There's also a lot of the original Destiny community who came from Borderlands, so obviously there's a lot of connection. There's also a lot of people who, in those communities, kind of don't like each other in the sense of like, historically they've been like, why are you playing Borderlands when we have Destiny? And why do you play Destiny when we have Borderlands?
Yeah.
A lot of that's phased out now, but there's also a big portion of the Destiny community that will be looking at Borderlands because they are very similar in a lot of stuff. So I'm interested in seeing that as well and they are talking a big game. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they can back it up. So really interested in Borderlands 4.
Yeah. I think I saw one of the articles where they were saying something along the lines of like, oh, you can go to that mountain, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's like grappling all over the place, like changes to movement tech. I know Goth posted a tweet earlier saying like just to look for it to shake probably the foundations of the franchise a little bit.
It needs to.
Yeah.
Like,
Three
I have
wa-
a big wish list, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I liked the DLC for 3, but the main protagonists really dragged it down for me. So I was like, yeah. Outside of that, has anybody here checked out Secret Level, the show on Amazon yet?
Yep. Seen it all.
Okay. Do you guys know about
it
Secret
worth it?
Level?
Not at all.
Did you guys ever
I've
watch Love, Death plus Robots
No.
on Netflix?
On
No.
Netflix?
I know of
Okay.
that show, but I never watched
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, single story episodes, like anywhere between like 15 minutes to 25 minutes sort of
Yeah.
long.
Mhm.
They announced it. What was it, like Gamescom this year? Dan?
It was at
They
it was at
announced-
the Game Awards last year that they
Right.
announced it, and it's Tim Miller
Mhm.
who also directed like Deadpool and like he
Who also did Love, Death plus Robots. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've done a whole bunch of like he's done a lot of talks on like the Corridor Crew channels and stuff talking about VFX and everything. And they've put out 8 episodes of what I think is like a 16 episode thing, with each episode being like a different IP. So like the first episode was Dungeons and Dragons. I think the second episode, I forget which one the second episode was, but one of them was like New World, Age of Eternum, and that one had Arnold Schwarzenegger as like the main character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't there one with Pac-Man? I heard something
Yes.
about how the Pac-Man one
Yes.
was
The
surprisingly
Pac-Man
good
one was
and
cool.
scary.
That one's
Yeah.
insane. That one's crazy how like how good it is,
Okay.
and how
Really?
So the show of that, they showed that off, and then at the Game Awards they announced the Pac-Man game. I had it written down here. Hold on, right back here. It's called Shadow Labyrinth, and it's the Pac-Man game that is based on that episode of Secret Level.
Okay.
So it's gonna
That Pac-Man thing looks interesting. So
yeah. The dude, watch that Secret Level episode. It was nuts.
Oh my God. Was that fucking Pac-Man?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Pac-Man. Yeah.
that was such a wow like connection. I was like,
I
how?
didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
It even
I
makes
watched them
the
all.
Trump
I'm just
sound
looking
at
at the
the end.
episode list now.
Yeah, man.
Bona got
It's
his
the
mind
Pac-Man
blown.
one, which was like super shocking and
Yeah.
super. It wasn't graphic, super like
Yeah.
scary, over the
I don't want to
top.
say too much about it, because it's like it just kind of comes out of left field, but it's really good and should like definitely worth a watch.
If you've played the Warhammer game recently, you've ever like been into Warhammer, or you're even looking forward to like Henry Cavill's Warhammer, that is like that episode that was there was like a continuation on from
Yeah.
the game, so that was good to sort of watch.
Keanu Reeves was in an Armored Core
Yeah,
Like-
which is good.
episode, like all really, really cool stuff. And I think part of it was like, I think part of the deal was something along the lines of they when they sold it to Amazon, they were like, yeah, but we want to use your servers to render everything, because otherwise it would take like a super long time. so Amazon was like, sure, yeah, and that was part of the deal. So yeah, that if you
Okay.
have
Smart idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you haven't yet, check that out. Like, check that out sometime this week. I
Okay.
think 8 more episodes are going to be dropping this week, and one of them's Mega Man. Another one's a Concord episode. Excuse me. Another one's a Concord episode. So who knows what that's going to be now that that game's kind of down and out. But
I talk with you guys and realize I know nothing about games.
Same, Sammy.
I know
Yes,
nothing
Yes,
about
you do.
games.
There's
You
just
do.
levels to games. You
Yeah.
are an absolute gamer now.
yeah,
You're a nerd, just like the rest of us.
No.
dude, you take on
I'm like, what
wild
game are you talking
challenges.
about?
You guys take on wild challenges. is
In
in
one
Destiny
game.
2. And like,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
you're absolutely a gamer. Well,
I'm
I
not
guess
saying I'm not a gamer. I just don't know games.
yeah.
Like
I feel that.
Concord, what
from
the
my
heck? I know
soul.
what Warhammer is.
Dude, yeah.
Speaking of all this, where's the Destiny TV shows we were promised? Like with
I mean,
One day maybe.
like then Sammy could be like, oh yeah, I watched the episode because it was Destiny. Like
I would, man,
that's
Or I
secret
would
level.
watch
such
it.
a like secret level. It
Yeah.
sounds like that's in Destiny's wheelhouse. If they made like a Destiny episode,
Yeah,
mm,
That'd be cool.
that would be
you
neat.
know,
Like
I
seeing
might have to
somebody
watch
out on
Secret Level.
patrol.
That sounds pretty cool. I didn't know the Pac-Man thing came from there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was neat. It was super cool.
All right, question for you guys.
Sure.
Best adaptation. Do you think best adaptation should have been Fallout or Arcane?
Oh man,
I haven't watched Fallout yet, so I can't speak on this.
Me neither.
I watched all of
watched either.
Fallout.
I love
I've seen
Fallout.
I hear
you
nothing
seen
but good
both,
things
Sam?
about Fallout.
I've seen both, and I don't know. I was on the fence with both of those.
I have
See,
not.
I'm a bit funny because I'm like, we're talking about like Borderlands, talking about Fallout, we're talking about Witcher. These are all like games I couldn't get into myself, so I don't have that sort of background in. But I think their universes are so like caught up in so much lore and so much, rich content that I didn't even know that was there for League of Legends until Arcane came out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess I mean not like what's the
yeah.
best adaptation. I mean, what's the best show
Yeah,
of
no,
the two?
I
in
getcha.
that category? Yeah.
I honestly don't even know if I can answer that. Like,
I would have
I-
rioted if it weren't. I guess no pun intended.
Oh my God, Sammy, please.
I would have been upset if it weren't one of those two.
Yeah.
mm.
Oh, it was just a 2-man race.
Yeah.
There was no way.
It really
Who
like,
won
was.
Yeah.
Like Fallout
Fallout
won.
won.
Fallout
Fallout
one.
won.
I
Okay.
personally voted for Arcane, but that's also because I haven't seen Fallout yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I also
Okay.
like
Fallout was shockingly good.
here's a question for Sammy and everyone else, because this goes into Sammy's question, and I always ask people this: which, only for those two, we can talk about the entire adaptations category.
Yeah.
Which of those two, if you had to recommend the universe to someone, do you think someone will prefer to do? Like watch? Like which one is a better vehicle for getting into that universe if they just watch that show? Do you think
When
if
you
someone
mean-
watched Fallout, would they be from Fallout be very interested in the games versus
Oh.
Arcane?
It depends on the person, whether they like animated,
Uh-huh.
whether they like live action. What can they sort of relate to more?
Yeah,
know?
but
I would say
I'm just saying from a
universe, probably
foundation, just from a
Arcane.
basis. Yeah, from a basis. Because for me, it definitely is Arcane, because Arcane instantly made me want to like play League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same.
You know, but I can't speak for Fallout because I haven't watched Fallout.
Yeah.
I guess
will
the
say-
biggest
Stands on
example
its
is
own.
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Because Last of
Yeah.
Us, I would say, was still the one show for me that, like, if somebody wasn't into gaming, just in general, just isn't a gamer, and they wanted to like somehow get into gaming, but they also were, like, say, big in like other media, I would tell them to watch Last of Us.
Yeah.
And
I
if they
love that.
enjoy that, you should get into gaming, and you just get into that game. You know, like it's a really good vehicle for getting someone really interested in the world and wanting to know where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
So standing on that, what I would say, I'd recommend watching both. I love Arcane probably more, but I'd recommend, I'd say Fallout's the better one, because Fallout is a lot easier to probably track if you're new to something.
Yeah.
Where Arcane, it's darting in to multiple timelines, multiple
deep lore
theories,
stuff.
multiple extreme lore. If you're that kind of person and you like other, other sort of universes of that caliber, then yeah, Arcane's going to be your best bet. But I think Fallout for just the average Joe coming on in, or Joette, sorry,
Yeah.
you can jump, you can track it a lot more narrow. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've only seen the Fallout show. I haven't seen Arcane. I didn't see the first season yet either, so I feel like I'm going to get stoned for that.
Sam, you know how you told
But-
me and Dan to get lost earlier?
So I did that.
Well,
I've just seen the
Danfinity-
Fallout show. And like I liked it. I liked it quite a bit as a standalone thing. It also has
How
like
is it compared to? I feel like both y'all can answer this. How is it? Which Fallout is it based off of? As someone, I've played the Fallout games, but I haven't watched the show.
it's kind of its own.
yeah.
Yeah,
It follows the most recent turn of events.
Yeah,
Like stuff
Sam
that
Bartley
we haven't seen before.
Turn of events in Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 is the most recent one, yeah. So it actually follows however many years after that.
There's
Okay.
a lot of like connection. I saw like some people saying that there's a lot of connection to like New Vegas and things along those lines, but it's not really.
And
It's not really. It's in the world, but it's not a vault that has been opened before, and it's not one that's been talked about before. If that
Pun
makes sense.
intended.
Yes,
That was intended. Okay.
I have no idea.
So it's based off a vault inside of the world of New Vegas.
Or just within the world of Fallout, because they
Well,
pop
each
up.
game is a different.
Right.
like,
yeah,
Okay.
New Vegas. We're getting into dangerous territory here. New
Yeah.
Vegas
You
is
see-
We should
mentioned.
maybe stick to Destiny.
yes. This because we're edging on spoilers if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
go
that's
watch
fine
it.
because I will totally forget by the time I watch it. So
okay.
Yeah. Sam
I'm that
Bartley is
type of
saying that
person.
it's set in 2296. So it's like
okay,
after 4.
that answers it for me. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Sammy.
you.
Thank you, the other Sam Bartley. So moving on from that and moving into the destiny of it all. How has your dawning experience been this past week? I know that it had a rocky start and it still has
Yeah,
its
what happened?
rockiness.
I was offline.
I didn't
What-
get
what
the free
happened?
event card. I'm sad. I was 10 minutes
I was
late.
at work.
Yeah.
I logged in
Oh,
after I
that's
heard
sad.
about it and I tried to get it and they had already taken it down.
Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah.
But congrats to those
Um,
people who got the free event card.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah.
your emotes and shader.
To me it was frustrating because I started it I think on the day of or whatever, picked up the quest, did the cookie for Zavala, gave it to Zavala, blah blah blah, whatever.
Mhm.
And then I think I did a little bit of things, nothing much. Like I didn't go super deep into it, but I was like, okay, I've done this part and I'll finish it another time.
Mhm.
Then the next time I logged in, I think it was the day after, one day later. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. I log in and then I have to redo the quest all over again.
Yeah.
But now I don't have the materials for it. Because when you do the quest the first time, they give you the material to do the first cookie for
Mhm.
Zavala, and then you go give it to him. But I had already done that, and so when I had to restart the quest for some
Oh.
reason, it did not give me the materials for that. So I
Yep.
had to go find the materials, and I was like, okay, so you restarted my quest, which not the end of the world, but slightly annoying since I've already done it. But then you don't give me the materials for it? Why?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that kind of turned me off a little bit, not gonna lie. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'll just do it at some point. But I don't know. It's a little bit same old, same old. There's not much. The weapons are good, but well, some weapons are good. But again, it's like there's other weapons that are also similar or
Mhm.
good or whatever. So I don't know. It's just with all the issues that came up with it, it's just a little bit like, to me at least, it's more like a type of event.
Facts. Anyone expecting, I guess, anything new is
Mhm.
definitely probably upset.
Yeah.
You know?
They did say it wasn't going to deviate too much from what it had been in the past.
Yeah.
So I
But
feel
it's like
like
we talked about last time when they first announced the Dawning. We all kind of agreed that like Dawning and most events have pretty much been the same for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.
Mhm.
And for at least us,
Yeah.
Mhm.
weapons reissued, even if they come with new perks, are not intriguing enough to be really excited to bake cookies.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that like I'm just gonna do my raids, do my dungeons, and just passively get this material in the back, and then occasionally just go bake cookies and see if I can get something cool. It's not just it's not a reason to log in, basically, type of thing. So I don't have a lot to speak on that I haven't said already. I played for a while, had the same issue as far as having to re-get materials this next day. And then I was like, I'd rather just go raid instead.
Yeah. It's cool if it's something that happens passively in the background. But yeah. I raided out to Big Daddy Tej on Tuesday night, and he was so bummed. Like after
during the dawning.
Yeah, during the dawning, because he was like, yeah, it just seems like they want us to play by ourselves. And I was like, that's something that I felt really heavily around like the launch of the final shape. But yeah, it's,
You know what? I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Why
so-
play by yourself?
It's just the way the game is set up. I mean, like if you look at for me, I don't like the Pale Heart. I'm sorry. It's just not a destination that I particularly enjoy.
Yeah, that was
But
one that was a
it's-
sticker
it's-
for me.
Yeah, it feels worse because it's like, oh, usually I would go on a planet and just kind of mess around and just like whatever, do whatever. It doesn't really matter, bounties or just do public events for a glimmer or whatever. But when you go on and then you'll end up with like some guardians around you and like I'll give a great example. Recently I've been trying to finish some stuff from Echoes, which is getting the 400 grams kind of a radiolite thing. And one of the ways to do that if you want to catch up and not be at the mercy of RNG is that if you go do a battleground, you go kill one of the HVTs that's in the battleground, they drop, I don't know what it's called, but they drop something. You take that, go to Nessus. On the side of Watcher's Grave, there's kind of a Vex column. You turn that in there, and then there's like two or three bosses that pop up. You kill them, and then you get one of the missing radiolite that you need, which is great. Great catch-up mechanic. Love that. And when I go to Nessus, oftentimes one of the blueberry that's around will come help me kill those. So it's amazing because I'm not killing like those 2 or 3 big bosses on my own because you have a timer limit for that. But if that's something that I would like to do on the Pale Heart, it's not possible because the Pale Heart is like a solo destination unless you have friends with you. And I strongly dislike that.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't like that the Pale Heart is like it's cool in some ways, but it's also very frustrating.
The matchmaking bit.
I don't know.
The matchmaking bit of the rotation per day, like that's fine. Like I actually enjoy the Pale Heart doing that more so than by myself, just because I don't know, it seems more alive. Like it seems like there's people there, and that's what I like to see when I'm on a destination. It's just like some blueberry off in the distance just leaping across the thing. I understand the thing about competition though too, for resources and for enemy, especially enemy kills and everything, and that's been something that has been a lifelong Destiny
issue
complaint.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but there is something like within the past 6 months that Tej kind of like cued me in there. I was like, yeah, no, it does feel like maybe
like
my
friends-
play
Is that
style.
just in the public world, like on the planet set it feels empty? Because I don't go to the planets unless I'm going to a specific vendor or a lost sector. Is the biggest concern that you're having regarding the Final Shape's Pale Heart, and just so I can get this correct, is that when we get these events that require us to go to planets, that they feel bare bones or like barren of other players?
There's something else to it
There's
though.
that.
Of dual Destiny was another thing for me because
don't get me started. Having to play with someone else. Oh,
well,
geez.
no. That's not it. That's not it at all. It's like the thing of like we're historically used to playing in teams of like multiples of 3. So like 3, 6.
3 and 6, yeah.
Like and with like Excision 12 or like however many. And so like the breaking that just down to 2, like I get the relationship and the special like story treatment of that thing, but it also feels like you're leaving somebody out. or like
A little bit, yeah.
does that there's just some
like
like
when it's always been divisible of the
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
there's just some odd
it-
choices that they made design wise that I think are like for future things, and especially like I think when they talked about Frontiers
I think
and they talked
it's-
about Apollo, they talked about
I
like
think there's more than that.
doing
I
like
wanna
solo
say, like,
delves, right?
yeah, those to me are like very, very like visible. They're very
Mhm.
like, you feel them a lot. But I think that it might have started before the funnel shape, but I think that since the funnel shape, it's a little bit like you feel it a little bit more. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not just these activities, but it's also like I feel like a lot of the design, the game design or the activity design is now more geared towards solo players
Mm.
than it is towards like teams. And I'm gonna
I mean,
bring up
that's
the fact that
obvious,
looks
yeah.
something we talked about a little bit, like a great example. Well, a great example to me might not be for
Mhm.
everybody, but to me, it's how Iron Banner is shaped now. Right? We talked about this, how it
Yeah.
feels like you
a
cannot play
banana.
with more than like 4 people in a team on Iron Banner, otherwise it's just like a miserable experience. And even with 4 people, it's slightly a miserable experience.
Mhm.
And now it's skill-based matchmaking instead of being connection, which is what it used to be before, right? It used to be connection-based matchmaking, and so the games were fairly quick. You would get into a game quickly, and so on and so forth. It feels like a lot of the games shift from being like more of a team game, or like 3 people, 4 people, 6 people, towards more being like, oh, we're gonna gear it towards our
Mhm.
solo players because they probably are like a big part of the community. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to give them a better experience. I really want that for
Mhm.
them for sure. But for the people that are used to play as like a friend group or just 3 people, 4 people, however,
Mhm.
now it feels like you're kind of sometimes, not for everything, but a lot of things you're kind of getting punished for it.
Mm.
And
That's
it's
definitely a
frustrating.
gameplay philosophy, I
Yeah.
would say. There's
Yeah,
you can definitely tell
100%.
that there's different people at the helm,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I don't know if players like us are really going to get rewarded from their new philosophy as far
Yeah.
as like
Yeah.
how they think the game needs to be moving
Tuned.
forward, because you're absolutely right that like at least since Lightfall, you can tell that there's been a big shift in
Yeah.
solo players, which is
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But also like there's not as much content. There's more content being geared towards not needing a fire team,
Mhm.
and then for
Mhm.
the stuff that needs a fire team, there's no like matchmaking for it, and
Yeah.
you kind of
And
also
Fireteam Finder.
add in fire team finder for that. You're right. Yeah, it's I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting hearing you guys talk about this because I am a solo
You
player.
yeah, I was
don't-
gonna say let's
But you're
I
a
don't-
chosen solo
Guys,
player.
there's one
Yeah.
right there.
You're a chosen
It's
solo
me.
player. Mhm.
Yeah.
Is the
there's a
solo
difference.
player in the room with us?
Yeah.
I am
Mhm.
the sole solo player here.
Yeah.
I know I felt like a solo player recently with the way my roster. I said this like 2 weeks ago, where my
Yeah.
roster when I jump on during the day, there's just no one
Oh,
on, or
100%.
Mm.
people playing that are on at that time playing other games. Go and do whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
just like, I can't play Destiny because I am a team player.
Yeah.
Like I am a team.
I
I
fully
was a
understand
guide. I
that.
was a Sherpa. I was a team.
Yeah.
And then
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
exactly.
And-
Absolutely.
I feel like, and I've been at this long enough that October, November, there's like a big drop off
Mhm.
because that is the time of like other games coming out or people, in the
Holidays.
States spending time with family, and it's starting to get
It's a bigger drop this year
yeah.
because Final
Yeah.
Shape was in the summer.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
imagine we wouldn't be in as big of a drop if Final Shape had released
In
say
September.
in September. You
Yeah.
know,
September,
Yeah, but it's been now 2 years, Witch Queen, Lightfall, and now this. So 2 years prior that it did launch in. Sorry, because I'm not from the Southern Hemisphere. Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Spring. Yeah, they launched in spring in like February, March,
Yeah.
and then as you just said, in the summer. So yeah, in a way that was almost good because there were a lot of games coming out at those points that would pull people's attention, and then it wasn't really a big multiplayer release that would happen in the spring. So
Yeah.
it was all right, but yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah. It
I don't
just-
know if they'll ever get back to that September date though.
I don't
Because
think so.
there was a while that they were trying to like make seasons longer so they could like start pushing like all the stuff sooner or later back to like the September, October date, they might not be able to do that. And that's interesting, you know? I don't know if that's good for the game or not.
Yeah. I don't
Unless
know.
the next one's like as big as Final Shape, you know? It seems that they want to stay there now, which I don't personally like, but
It just
But
it
when
makes
does it work out that the last episode ends?
uh
I've done this math before, isn't it? Like May.
May something.
yeah.
May.
hmm
That's gonna mess with everyone's heads.
Yeah.
Um,
It just I
Yeah,
don't
Apollo
know.
is like in June, as far as the dates kind of look. They
I
haven't
don't
given
know
us
if I
a
like that.
specific date though.
It's just
We'll
something
see.
where like yeah, it like Tej was speaking to something. I think primarily he was like trying to do things for dawning like essences and all sorts of stuff. And like feeling like he had to do it more by himself because he felt punished if he ran with other people to do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that's just something that has been kind of like hitting me within the last 6 months. And so I like that was something that resonated. But yeah,
like the quests and the like missions just don't feel like they're tailored to like the team aspect anymore. And especially when they were doing it for a hot moment where it was like if you'd already completed that quest or if you went up to that point, then you couldn't play this quest with your friend.
Yeah.
You know, and if you were so far behind, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go to this by myself. Or, no, you need to go and complete that because I can't join you to help you get up to where I am.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very true.
Yeah. I don't know. There was just something about that. And so I like you were saying, I haven't really engaged with anything from the Dawning that much. I think I picked up the quests. I think I tried to turn something in and it was bugged. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
okay. Like that's the game telling me to do something else. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's a huge turnoff when it happens. When like something bugs out and it's like the thing is also I think for a lot of people it's like it's not the first event or the first time recently that this has happened, right? Where it's like, oh, try to do something, oh, doesn't work. Well, okay, how long is it going to take to get fixed? Who knows? Well, they're pretty good on trying to fix things quickly, but still, sometimes it just takes longer because it's a bigger bug than intended or whatever. And I feel like now it's kind of a culmination of all of these smaller or all of these events happening before of like this is bug, this is bug, this is bug, this is bug, and now people are like, okay, well, I want to do the event, I want to participate in that, I want to do this, I want to complete whatever I need to complete, but I'm getting another bugged. Like I'm getting another bug in game. I'm tired of it. Like I just want to play the game and I can't really play the game. So it's kind of just very frustrating overall.
Yeah. And I know it's frustrating for them too, because like
oh, 100%.
Like Dylan had a whole thread about like, hey, this week sucks. Like
was so sad to read.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just heartbreaking.
And like they're kind of in an impossible situation because they are essentially like a studio without really a dedicated QA team. Because that all has been Sony is now doing all that stuff, right?
I'm not.
I don't think so. No, they don't have a dedicated QA team in general.
Oh, see, I was under the impression that Sony was using some of their assets to try to
coming
do
in with their PlayStation controllers, testing my keyboard functions.
I don't think so, unfortunately. Like I think there's just no QA team anymore, or very, very.
There's very few. Yeah,
small.
there's a few.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think I don't know if it was with you guys I talked about that earlier or whatever, or it was with my team yesterday when we're bugged out in Garden. But there's also, I believe, less play testing from Bungie employees in general. Because
There
Bungie
is,
employees used to just play the game in studio, right? A lot of the time they would play tests or just play it, literally just play the game in the studio together and kind of play test it that way. And I think they have less of that as well. So not only do they not really have a QA team or a very small QA team now, we don't know, we're speculating, but a way smaller QA team at the very least. But they also have I think, way less playtime of the game in
Yeah.
the studio. And
Um,
it's kind of like compounding together.
something that came up in the end of the year developer update. Like Robbie Stevens wrote, additionally, we're hiring a handful of gameplay specialist positions. Our specialists sourced from the community will be in the trenches with the dev team, playtesting the new core game progression and gameplay systems, as well as Codename Apollo's campaign and post-game. These specialists provide us with the kind of perspective you can only get from dedicated players.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I've seen some other streamers that I know that have applied for it, so
Mhm.
I wish them
So-
best, because anyone that has a live experience and knows the coding of this
Mhm.
game to a
Mhm.
degree that you can mathematically figure out the 1-to-3 ratio of a drop rate
Mm-hmm.
and what's supposed to drop on a weapon. If they can, the more people like that they can put
Mhm.
actually behind the engine,
Mm-hmm.
better we are off.
Hell, I know
I
so many
agree.
people that don't stream and like run spreadsheets and test all this stuff all
Yep.
the time.
Yeah.
Or,
Yep.
it's
I
Yeah.
used to be in QA years ago, a decade ago, in video game QA, and I was like, yeah, I'm unemployed. I need a job. I should totally apply for that. But then I'm thinking, but then I wouldn't be able to. I mean, everything I've worked for my own platform as
Yeah.
a streamer and a content creator, like that would just be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I need the job. I need a job. First of all, I don't even know if I could handle a job because of my health, but that's
Mhm.
something else. But it's like, would I even want to go ahead
do
and
that.
give up my platform and my brand and all of that stuff to go work for
experience.
Bungie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a sacrificial thing. Would you want to
Yeah.
give up your personal brand and goals for the betterment of the entire community? That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the instability.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Oh
I know
yeah.
I'm not
That's
the
a whole other thing.
only
not even
content
just here,
creator.
Sam. Yeah.
What?
Not even just here, Sam, but like in the entire industry. Like you can
Mhm.
go to any
Yeah.
other game and that's not, pardon the pun, assured. So like
I've seen a
it's
lot of Destiny. I've seen not a lot. I've seen some Destiny streamers who went to Bungie
Mm-hmm.
about 4 or 5 years ago that are like not even with them anymore, and I've seen
Yeah.
a few that were like the spreadsheet people
Mm-hmm.
and like the super in like depth, like all in the numbers people work there, which is cool. But I definitely can tell that sometimes it causes them to become very jaded and cynical to the game too. Because
as
you
soon
get
as
behind
somebody
the
don't-
scenes.
Yeah.
You see how the sandwich is made, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
the sandwich doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
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 But
Um,
props, and if there's a lot of people that apply it, so I wish you the best in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the dawning? Anybody got anything else or?
No, I think we kind of covered all of it. It's just a little bit disappointing, and
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you could throw snowballs in the tower and freeze your buddies?
Yeah.
I know they removed that. I don't understand that. Weird.
I think people were getting annoyed.
I can see
Beginning?
it annoying.
I think that it should have been a thing for like fire team. Like if you're a fire team,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can do that. Like not the random blueberry that's in a tower trying
Yeah.
to.
Again, we're
and
not
it's-
developers. We don't know if like that
Yeah, for sure.
causes extra strain on like, especially
Mhm.
if you're a mixed tower with like console players and PC. and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you
That's
know,
true.
But if you could do that, that'd be cool. But
Mhm.
yeah. The tower's already a
Okay, but
framey place.
I also want to give cookies to Riven again, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do
Just
we
saying.
give
Running
cookies
around
to
here,
witness or
Raul.
no? Why can't we
I
give
wanna-
cookies to the witness?
Because he's
that one
dead.
too.
He's dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, there you
he'd
go.
need too many. He's got
Just
too many
loads
hands.
That
so
would,
he
that would
says
get
Or-
people to do
Right.
Salvation's Edge again. They'll do
Or
Salvation's Edge and
just-
give cookies to them.
Or even
Wait,
to
can we give
Rahul.
something to Archie yet? Did
I
they
don't
let us
know.
Oh,
give
that is a
something to Archie?
missed opportunity. I'm running.
Can't, because he's
Yeah.
allergic to those cookies. Can't do that to my boy
You can't
Archie.
give dogs chocolate.
No.
But he's not a real
Okay,
dog.
how many of the cookies
You take
have
that back.
chocolate
He
in
is
them?
real.
He's like a mechanical dog.
He's a
Doesn't
good
matter.
boy. That's what he is. He's a
real
good
to
boy.
Oh, he
me.
is a good boy. I'm
Good
not taking anything away
boy.
from that.
Boy, Archie.
So I guess we can move on to like. So we got a couple of articles this week. These are the last articles that we will be seeing in 2024 from Bungie side. We got the end of the year 2024 developer update, and we got the TWID on Thursday. Which do you guys want to get into
Whichever.
first? Okay.
What came out
Go for
first?
it.
So the article by Robbie Stevens, the end of the year 2024 developer update. So they say we'll be going dark on Codename Frontiers communication for a little while. The team needs time to play test, collect feedback, and cook before we emerge again with more details. This is after talking about hiring a handful of gameplay specialist positions. I'm going to read like the first 3 paragraphs here and then like kind of gauge our thoughts on it. Destiny has a long history of reinventing itself in response to community feedback and the expectations of players. Our North Star, however, remains unchanged. We strive to build worlds that inspire friendship and to create amazing gaming experiences that leave an indelible mark on people's lives. We've started breaking bones and trying new things with episodes. Some of those changes have been well received by the community, like the Vespers Host Dungeon Race. The team found just the right mix of challenge and length to elevate the dungeon to the bar set by contest raids. I can't wait to watch the next race when Heresy launches in February. Other changes have had a rocky start. Weapon crafting removed the joy of earning a random weapon, that feeling that any drop could matter, so we introduced enhanceable weapons. The Revenant tonics were meant to provide loot agency in lieu of crafting and give you a fresh way to chase gear, but we know we missed the mark with the tonic timers and not guaranteeing a weapon from the active tonic. So we're in the process of developing changes to make tonics last longer and give better payouts on top of a series of bug fixes planned for December 17th. So that's this upcoming Tuesday. Also, we say how these changes are putting pressure on your vault. So we're in the early stages of planning long-term changes to relieve vault pressure that will start to manifest later in the year of Codename Frontiers. So that's like the first 3 paragraphs of that. What are some general thoughts there?
It's all really well put, really well worded.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard it before. They've
Sorry.
followed up on it before,
Mm-hmm.
and things just get in the way. Like he's saying all the right things, and
Yeah.
you can only, as I say, you can only take what they're saying and see how it ends up.
I think the big victory here is the Vespers Host Dungeon Race. Like so many people were interested in that. Anytime contest mode anything happens, like that's a big draw, not only to like us streamers and everything, but also to the game. And like that I feel is like the big marquee. This was great thing. But yeah, weapon crafting. I can't remember the last time I crafted a weapon. Really. And then the tonics have just been this kind of passive thing in the background. I forget to put them on most of the time.
I haven't
They're
even
out of
unlocked
sight.
Really?
them yet.
Yeah.
I don't use them.
I've unlocked
Tonics
them
are
all.
fantastic.
I went
Not
for them
all of
straight
them. There's
away.
only a couple.
Yeah,
I don't even know what you need to do to unlock them.
you need to
Same.
not play dungeons.
Well,
Yeah.
that's also true.
Well, you can get some of them in the dungeons, but the problem with tonics, which is my worry with tonics in the future, is that tonics are a really great system that forces you to have to play all of the game.
Mm.
And what's going to happen is they're going to solve that by allowing you to sit in your favorite activity and earn the tonic requirements, but they're going to make it very convoluted. And I only say that because they have a history of doing that. It's not a knock on them. It's just, in their mind, obviously balancing like earning reward potential like stuff, but sitting in one activity and only sitting in that one activity to get it. Maybe in their mind they think, maybe you need to work a little bit longer and a little bit harder to earn that same equal stuff. So I don't know as far as that. I hope tonics stay I don't want to say tonics stay around, but tonics at the foundation is really good for Destiny long term. I don't know if it's going to stay around. Will it be the same? But I have really liked tonics. My only issue is that the tonics that they have are only good if the artifact is good.
Bolsters them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so if when the next artifact comes out, if they decide to revamp tonics in a new way with a new name or whatever, when Apollo drops, if this is a big if because they're going to probably do it, if the artifact doesn't bolster them in a unique way, then tonics will fall flat. But I mean, that's a very big if. Tonics are great, so I hope they do it again and they do something unique with them, even if some people don't engage with them.
Yeah.
I know some people just don't want to bother with like, what do I need to get this, to craft this, to make this, and that's also understandable. They should have a recipe book in game for people if they like their lore.
Yeah, in the menu, not have to go to the thing.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very much out of sight, out of mind, as I think we said.
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
in
there
previous
isn't a
weeks
recipe
with
book?
this.
No.
Not really.
If you
I
don't
feel
know
like
where
they
to
could
go
have
to get
so
the,
much more fun with it, like more of an RPG type style with the
yeah,
tonics.
that's what it's
and-
supposed to be. Yeah, they could do so much more. And
But to be
also
fair-
for me, just make a bigger focus on content.
Yeah.
I'd
Which-
rather have that than seasonal content.
Which they're saying like we have another contest dungeon coming with Heresy. So like that's something to look forward to, especially like
I think
in
that's going to
February.
be a very fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Every episode should have something
lore-wise.
contest.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just my
We don't
my
get
in-game
a
pick.
dungeon on the Dreadnought though. I know people really want to, but we already have. We have Pit. We have
Mm-hmm.
Ghosts. We have just a billion trillion hive.
Lots of Hive stuff. Yeah.
hive
But what
stuff.
if it's on the Dreadnought, but Vex?
Now that would be confusing. What if it's
That's
the
Cabal
last
on
one.
the
But
Dreadnought?
what if it's on the Dreadnought
There you
but
go.
sexy? Like, you know?
This is going to be a new thing. What if it's on the Dreadnought? You know, back in the day, Moon's Haunted. It's going to be the same sort of.
Yeah.
This
What if
isn't.
it's on the Dreadnought? but-
I don't know if this is like
Vex
a,
Knot.
a promo thing or not. I'm sorry if it is, but so every year starting last year
Mhm.
for I want to do this thing annually for Game to Give where I do a play and it's Destiny Dinner Theater and basically it's a cold reading of a play I write and the people I cast in it don't know. They haven't read
happening?
it beforehand,
Mhm.
and people can
Oh.
donate to
Mhm.
do different things like use an accent or ASMR or
Oh
don't
my
laugh, and it's really really funny. Last January, it was we were going on the adventure to the Pale Heart,
Mhm.
and it's when our main characters get to the Pale Heart and meet Cade and sit around the campfire and all of that stuff and talk. But this year, this January, we are going to the Dreadnought.
Mhm.
And I'm just really, really excited because there's so many things we could do on the Dreadnought.
But
Like,
sexy.
but sexy. Yeah.
Good.
I mean, there's the whole history of the Dreadnought in D1 to play off of.
Yeah.
What are we going to do coming up in Heresy?
Right.
There's just so many. There's so much you could do with the Dreadnought. I'm excited to get it back.
I love Dreadnought.
But sexy.
But sexy.
Exactly.
Dreadnought, but sexy.
But
So
sexy.
remember those pit boots we got for the Titan, like the high heels?
Yeah.
Yes. But sexy.
But sexy.
But sexy.
So continuing the article, so we know that we're getting a big contest mode for Heresy raid or Heresy dungeon. They continue in response to the desirability of seasonal weapons. In the short term for Heresy, we've developed a new tier of seasonal weapon dubbed Heretical Arsenal. More details on these weapons as we approach Heresy, but rest assured that it will be clear when they hit your inventory that they're worth inspecting. These changes are stepping stones that help us evaluate our long-term plans to create a deeper weapon chase in Codename Frontiers. Episodes introduced a new content cadence with acts. While there are new activities, loot, and quests rolling out at a consistent cadence, this change created lulls in our gameplay calendar at the end of an episode. So for the final weeks of Revenant, there will be a special pursuit similar to Riven's Wishes, where you can complete quests to choose from a list of new and desirable rewards. Additionally, we've been evaluating feedback from Revenant's content rollout. We've made changes to Heresy that strike a better balance between everything dropping on day one of Act versus meaningful reasons to return throughout the episode. We're taking an approach where the vast majority of the activities content will be available on the first day of an act, and subsequent weeks will add or evolve the content based on the story. Also, we're adjusting the act rollout schedule so there is less downtime in the gameplay calendar later in the episode. Heresy will be our last season in the episode format. The team has taken big swings to create new activities that evolve throughout the episode and create big secrets to uncover in the Dreadnaught. So, what do we think of Heretical Arsenal, act cadence changes?
It's interesting you said like a bounty or like a quest for like to chase the weapons you want.
Like Riven's Wishes? Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of strikes me. I hope that's already in like a multiplayer setting, because if that's not, then that arches into the whole solo sort of play. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like chasing after what you kind of want. If you had to pick something, then go off and do that, then you're on your own doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I hope it is within like the Riven's Wishes sort of thing like we had last year, where
Mhm.
you know we choose that as we go through the activity. So I would
Right.
hope it's more like that.
What about something like this, where if you have quests or activities, bounties, things like that, if you're in a team, it could go faster, but
Mhm.
if you're solo, you can still do it. Like, fire team contributes to more efficiency, so it makes sense
Mhm.
to play together, but if you're solo, you don't have to worry about playing with other people and missing out.
I could see that helping. I could definitely see that helping.
That should be. I wouldn't be mad if that was like intrinsically in the game in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like, fire team contribution, you
Mhm.
get
it's like a
33%
1.0
more.
solo, like a 1.3 with one person,
Mhm.
1.6. You know, yeah,
Up to like
Yeah.
2x with like
Mhm.
a full fire team
yeah.
kind of thing.
Because then I'd be fine where it's like, oh, I just want to get this done real quick. Hey, who wants to jump in with me?
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, I've got time. I don't have to worry about hurrying through this. I'm just going to do it on my own.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm down for that. Yeah.
Do you think that would help at all with the, like, make it more team play? People would want to play together more?
It would make people be willing to just, because we all have probably seen people like they don't want to join because I already did this. I don't, I'm good. So it would definitely help those people. And there's
Mhm.
plenty of people, not speaking from a streamer content creator standpoint, but there's plenty of people in the community in general who would be willing just to run that activity with you just to help you progress it faster.
Just to help you, yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's the thing. It's like,
'Cause it would also
I don't
scratch
get
their
anything
back
out of
too.
this, but I could help you.
Because the
Yeah.
problem normally with type of content that we have to do is that even if somebody joins you, they're just there watching you progress.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like how I was watching someone. What was the last event? The Halloween one,
Mhm.
and they were literally doing strikes and the what's that activity? Whatever the lost sector thing is, they were just doing the
Oh, yeah.
activity with
On
them.
lost sectors.
And just like every time they got a completion, they were like, "How close are you now? How close are you now?" "Oh, I'm still 15% away from like the super black," you know?
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it's scaled off of the entire fire team, like I'm here to help you progress this faster, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. I like that a lot.
That'd be cool. Boston said that would help a lot so you don't steal kills and progress from teammates.
That
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing, man. Is like
Now, would
jumping
you
in.
think that would be in, like, say, I'm just going to use strikes, just pulling off that. the whole like kill stealing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would
Kill
they have
X
to
amount of
be
Vex kind of thing.
Yeah. Would they need to be actually in your fire team for it to boost? Or would it just be
I would
would it be
think that
better to be in that?
if it's like a limited activity space and
Mhm.
you're like, and you're forced to be in a fire team together, that should automatically.
I was just talking about
progress.
like matchmaking.
Yeah.
Like would
Yeah, yeah.
matchmaking benefit from this?
I like absolutely, because then people
I
aren't
think so.
sniping Vex
Yeah.
kills out from under you. Like in
Because
the
I
one
was
strike
just thinking
that's
about
there.
negative, like the other side of it. Because I could imagine that they did it, but you only got the boost for people that were actually in your fire team
Mhm.
when you launch, not versus matchmaking.
Yeah, I
If
would.
they made it like just basic, just activity in general, that'd be
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's great
I
in
think it would make
any
sense for
way.
the activity because then
Yeah.
I would be more likely if I'm like, if I wanted to, I would be more likely to jump into a match made activity to get things done faster.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't
Yeah.
want to like play with someone else on my fire team, but I would still
Mm.
be in there playing with blueberries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just thinking from
It's
a
kind of
solo.
the best
Yeah.
of both
Yeah.
worlds where I don't
Gotcha.
have to play with someone else, but I could still play with someone else and still get it.
Yeah.
What you run the risk of running into there is AFK farming, looping back
Yeah.
around as well. Like people just
That's
That
true.
is
Yeah.
back
true.
in over
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
over again, like it did back in the day for, you know, strikes and getting stuff completed.
It's
Yeah.
not perfect, but like even if it was strikes, even if they were AFK, you could be like, man, they're not helping, but hey, they're still helping me. I
Yeah.
don't think that's as bad of a trade.
I'm still getting a
I'm still getting benefit from
0.3
this. Yeah.
0.3x boost off of this. Yeah.
So that might be the one time,
Mhm.
the one time that AFK farming wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still getting something off of it.
Yeah.
I want
And
to
then you
cue
could
off.
be penalized for not doing something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Or not penalized, but not rewarded.
Yeah, the big screen of you've been ejected from an activity for not like that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, I'm really weird about punitive
The
actions.
pros
and
definitely
like that.
outweigh the cons in this situation.
Yeah. So let's talk about the heretical arsenal. A lot of people in chat are already like kind of like queuing into like what I thought was going to be happening with these, or might be happening with these, is that we're getting like shinies back again, a la like what we had with Into the Light. I would certainly welcome that chase back into my life because I actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed doing those activities, seeking out and honing specifically for the weapons that I wanted to get. I still have kept like I went through and cleaned out my vault recently, and I saw those weapons in my vault, and I was like, you know what? I earned those. I'm keeping those no matter what. Like those they're different enough, they're unique enough that is something that I want to have forever. So that's a good thing. Like what were your experiences with chasing shiny weapons in
It should
Into
be
the Light?
in all parts of the game, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Like every you know,
Every
different
raid and dungeon should
yeah.
have shinies. I don't know if that's a hot take, but
Go further, trials, GMs, like, you know,
But yeah,
we obviously do
any
have the
in-game
mementos,
activity should
but,
have
like,
shinies.
yeah.
Mementos aren't the same. I don't care what people say.
But that's where people. I'm saying that because people will be like, "Oh, but we've already got mementos." I'm like, no, dude, like not the same.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna be that person.
Okay.
We should not call them shinies, people. They are not shinies. You don't understand the true weight of the word shiny unless you are a Pokemon nerd.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Yeah.
They are not shinies. And if you call them shinies, you need to work for them. You need to
Yeah.
work for that shit. Okay? You can't go and be like, these are shinies. They need to be easier to get. Get yourself a shiny charm. We should put
Yeah.
some kind of shiny charm into Destiny 2, but do not call them shinies unless you're willing to put the work into it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people that said the drop rate for shinies in Onslaught were too high, but you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Should have never
If you're
got
not going to
buffed.
spend 5 or 6 hours hunting down one shiny, it's not a shiny.
5 or 6 hours.
That's
That's
just
it.
me. I know, just I'm trying to be easy here, okay? I'm trying not to be that
Oh
much
my
of that
God.
person.
Elite
I once
Sammy.
spent 9 months going back to Borderlands. I spent 9.5 months farming 18 hours. Well, not 18. I would say 7 hours on the weekend, 18 hours
Yeah.
a day, getting one weapon specific version, which we call the shiny in Borderlands. It took me
Good for
9.5
you.
months. So yes, I definitely think those Destiny shinies should be just as rare.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Something that drops in, you're like, oh shit. Like that should be like the feeling.
Well, the satisfaction of it finally dropping
Yeah.
will always make it worth it, no
Mhm.
matter what you say.
It creates a story for that weapon.
It creates a story.
does.
It creates a core memory that you have tied to that game,
Mm-hmm.
and they're good. Now, obviously, the whole onslaught argument was like, "Oh, this is going away. I don't have enough time."
Mm-hmm.
So,
I do empathize with the thing of it because they had it originally on the cadence of like this week these were available, this week these were available, and like and increasing the pool out until like I think the very final week when they realistically should have like just flooded the ability to have these the shinies drop in that first week instead of like trying to piecemeal them out. Because people were going to be running up against that timer, especially in that final couple weeks with those weapons. Like I empathize 100% with that, just because.
but isn't that like that version? I know it had the double perks. I get that, but it's not like I'm pretty sure the normals had double perks, right? Or was it just a shiny?
Double perks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like the shiny. The special version of the weapon had a gameplay advantage. You literally use the same weapon.
Yeah.
But
You were just going for the
It's a
God roll,
collection piece.
shiny. You know, like
So like I don't
If
know.
it's a cosmetic thing, the drop rate shouldn't. It should be really hard if it's a cosmetic thing.
Yeah.
we
Absolutely.
can talk
That's what I'm gonna
about.
say.
Yeah, we can talk
If
about the
it's
drop
just
rates.
cosmetic, then you need to work for it.
But
If it's
that's
like
where we
a
get into
1 in
RNG.
400 chance, then damn it, do
RNG
it
is
1 in
RNG.
400 times.
RNG
There's
is
still
RNG.
gonna
Yeah.
be people that get it on the first, second go though,
Trust me.
and that don't
that's
spend
fine.
the hours doing
That
it.
is
Like,
fine. That
But
is fine.
And there's your shiny Mareep. You don't have to work for it.
That
the-
is
for
fine.
me,
Bloody Murray.
big issue is like
I love me a
there's
Mari.
twofold in that. There's a twofold in that in a sense that it's a gun that has multiple perks. So getting a shiny is one thing. If it's just a cosmetic part, one thing. But it's getting the shiny, quote unquote, out of the specific role you want. That's shitty. The second part is that specific shiny that we're talking about was in a limited time event.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me that event or that activity, whatever, is going to be around forever and that shiny is available whenever, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we're calling them shiny, but they're just special drops, whatever you want to call
Right.
them. But that to me was the frustration. It's like the drop rate was fairly low in the beginning. They did up it after. But it's like, oh, and it was like, how many weapons was it?
Mm-hmm.
8?
Sounds like a dozen. If
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's say a dozen. So it's a dozen. Maybe not everybody wants all of the weapons. Fair, whatever. That's okay. That's also fine.
Yeah.
But it's more like, oh, now I'm chasing a specific role. One, first and foremost. Second, I'm getting a specific role that drops from with a special cosmetic on it. And I have a very limited time to get that like threefold thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just that's to me that's what I didn't like about it. If it's like Sami said, if it's a cosmetic, just cosmetic, right? Let's say it wasn't a specific weapon that you would get, but it would be like a memento that you could apply to these weapons, I wouldn't care as much.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was a weapon with specific roles and it could drop with a lot of perks, so that made it even more difficult. And then it was also a very limited event. That's where I was frustrated with the drop rate, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Right.
Like, if the double perks were specific to shinies, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It's been a long time.
Right.
But
It
you could
wasn't.
get
No, it
like
wasn't.
you could get those perks, those double perks on a normal one.
I don't think so. Let me check.
Yeah,
I thought
you
you
But I
could.
don't think so.
I'm pretty
You
sure.
can. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I only
Literally
got
use one every day.
2 shinies,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I'm looking at my falling guillotine, right? The one that dropped from that.
Mhm.
No double perks on that. It was regular, just
Yeah,
regular
that's
perks.
you just didn't get one with a double perks. Then I'm literally
Because I
looking
know
at
the one I
Really?
use
Yeah,
like
I'm looking-
normally is a double perk. Yeah.
Because my
But
shiny has a
regardless,
double
like,
perk.
Yeah. Well,
But
the
not the
shiny
regular
the shiny one was a guaranteed double perk. That's the only
Yes,
difference.
exactly. Okay.
Mhm.
The only difference.
Oh,
The
okay.
normal ones would drop. They had a chance of dropping with up to 4 perks, whereas a shiny was a guaranteed 4 perks, just randomized.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So it was just one of those things where if you still put in the work and the hours, you could still get your perfect roll on a normal one, if that's all you cared about.
Yeah,
Like there's a
exactly.
couple rolls that I got the 4 perks I needed, and it just so happened to not be shiny. But I was like, I got the 4
I
perks.
think we need to
It's
retcon
whatever.
this conversation. We need to retcon this conversation. Chat's right. Seth is right. There's
Thank you.
no weapons.
Yeah.
There's no weapons I've got that aren't shiny that have double perks.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking. Double perks were only on shinies. Like that's the only way you were able to do it. Or on like I'm gonna stop calling it shinies. Sorry.
Thank
On the
you.
special ones.
Thank
They
you.
were not
I'm
on
not-
this. They
until-
were
until
only
they
on
give
the
it
I'm
special
another
a Prince
word,
of
I'm gonna call it
Chaos. They're fucking
shinies.
shinies.
Until they
But
give
I,
it an
okay, but
actual
I won't.
term.
Out of respect for Sammy, I won't. But like, yeah, the double perks were only on the exclusive / special editions, and then every other weapon you could. But like Dan is saying, you could still get the perfect roll you wanted without the double perks. You could still get it on a regular weapon, and I did that too. But we all know how most of us are, and we want that like special skin and all of those things. So to me, that's where I was kind of we can still get the weapons, right? We can still
Right.
like you didn't get them at that specific time. The weapons are still available in Onslaught, and then you even have more agency on getting them because you have a little bit of focusing that is now available. So that's great. I have nothing against that. I'm really happy they did that. But the fact that the special edition was only available for a specific time, which is fine, but it was only available for a specific time on 12-ish weapons, whatever amount of weapons were available. So if you wanted a special edition with a perfect roll or a near perfect roll in that special edition, it was just, to me, it felt like it's a very short period of time. The drop rates were low. You want that special edition. It felt very kind of stressful for no reason. And I'm like, it's a cosmetic. But if it had been more like a memento, let's say you get your perfect roll and then you can go ahead and get a memento that will apply that special skin, that would have been completely different. Completely different. So I don't know. That's just for me.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
I'm an elitist.
I am too. But
When it comes to Pokemon, I'm an elitist.
Which is fair. That's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, I don't know. For Destiny, I'm like, some things sure, other things I'm like, don't make it complicated.
I
for
don't
me.
think it should be limited.
Yeah. But they
I-
like to
I-
limit things, so
I don't think it will be limited in the way that the Into the Light stuff will be or has been.
Because it should be, but
I don't think the stuff in Heresy will be as
No,
limited
not
as
in
the Into the
Heresy.
Light stuff, because like
No,
Into the
probably
Light
not.
was just like something that we got, and that they were like, hey, just have this before Final Shape, and I'm sure was a test
Yeah,
for
yeah,
so
yeah,
many different
fair.
things in the background. But like,
100%.
but with this will probably be something that lasts the entire episode or season, whatever they want to call them. They called the season and episode format in this. So
Yeah.
Is that stuff going to stay around after this? Because this is the last season or episode of Revenant.
My guess
And
is
after
that it
that's
would go
Apollo.
away. My guess is that it would go away on the yearly cadence that it
Yeah, the
normally does.
yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have you don't have as much time with
Yeah.
that.
Yep, that's a
Yeah.
whole other thing.
I will say though,
okay,
there's a bow next episode.
Mhm.
And I'm here like, don't give us higher drop rates for these shinies. I will not complain about the drop rate.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, now she's
will-
fine with it.
I will not
Mhm.
complain about the drop rate. So in like 5 months' time, don't come back and be like, remember that episode we talked about shinies and you're an elitist Pokemon
Chat
player?
always
Yeah.
remembers.
Chad
Do
always
not
remembers.
come at me with that.
An elitist and a hypocrite. We love
Chat
that.
always remembers.
I see you, Sammy. I see
They
you.
they send you the clip.
Hey, remember
probably
back
will.
when?
Yeah.
I see a twit longer in Sammy's future.
Yeah. What are those? So
A blue sky longer.
but they also talk about like
God.
changing the content cadence of acts here, which I don't know how many of you guys have enjoyed the cadence of the act structure. I've actually really liked it this episode because it's allowed me to do in like 3 hours in one day what it would typically take me to do 3 or 4 hours over 4 weeks or something. And it feels like I personally feel like I'm more cued into what the story is actually like doing in that chunk of time than if I have to telenovela it. And like this kind of feels like they might be going back to the telenovela approach, and I'm not sure how I feel. Like,
No,
I
would
love
dislike
that you use that term for it too.
it is that's what it is. Federico walks into the room and
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Next
a
week.
telenovela.
That's so true.
yeah.
There's so many things you guys say, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna nod.
You
No, I
gotta see
just-
telenovas, man, because it's
Yeah.
literally what Destiny's doing.
I
Yeah,
would
soap
strongly
opera.
dislike if they went back to this. It would be one thing if they're like, oh, we're gonna divide the story in like two parts.
Mhm.
You know, here's the first half of the season, quote unquote. You can do all of it in one go, and then in like I don't know 3 weeks, however long. Don't mind me, I don't remember the length of seasons anymore. But whatever, halfway midpoint of the season, here's the rest of the story. That would be one thing. That'd be slightly frustrating, but it'd be like, okay, fine. But going back to a weekly basis, like the telenovela, oh, here's what's happening this
Yeah.
week. Come back, like go do an hour of gameplay and then come back in a week. Like, no, please. I strongly hate this approach, even in just regular TV shows. Like Netflix splitting up seasons in two. Sorry, but get the fuck out. So please, Bungie, don't go back to that. If you are more like, oh, we're gonna give
Do you
you
mean
all
where
the
they like
story.
split like a season, like part 1, season 3, and then
Yeah.
season 3,
Where
part
they
2,
split-
like
yeah.
they did with Arcane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate when they do that. It's so frustrating because it's like either I decide to watch half of the season now, wait I don't know how many weeks, and then go back into it. I haven't forgotten parts of the story already, or I just decide, oh, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm just gonna wait for the full thing to be out and then sit down. But then I'm probably gonna get spoiled because people
Yeah.
are people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's really frustrating for that, and I hate that. Please don't
Do you
that.
prefer the binging aspect of it or the
I much
week
prefer
to
the binging.
week?
Yes.
Really?
No, binging, 100%. Give me everything because I can go at my own pace.
Yeah, but then you go at your own pace, or you can't watch it straight away, and then you open yourself up to seeing spoilers again.
Well, it
I
Whereas
depends.
liked
if you-
how
If we're
Arcane
talking
did
about the
it
game,
3-3-3 within 3 weeks. Personally,
Yeah. Well, because
'Cause
you
it
got
was
to
short
binge a little
enough.
bit at a time.
you got to binge a little bit at a time, and then yeah, I mean it was short enough time span. I don't like it when it's okay, we're going to give you these 3 episodes, and then in 3 weeks we'll give you 3
Yeah,
episodes,
I
and
hate
then
Yeah.
in
that.
3 weeks. Rather than it's like, okay, here's 3 episodes. Next week you get 3
I
episodes.
think,
Yeah.
I think there's a way of, if you want to elongate it, there's a way of doing it kind of like, we're going to put it in like, we're going to shorten it, or we're going to give you X amount here, X amount here, X amount there. Like what you said with, I haven't watched Arcane, so I'm not sure, but like that sounds reasonable. That sounds,
Yeah,
okay, 3
I agree with
episodes there
Sammy.
a week, 3 episodes next week, 3 episodes in 2 weeks. That's fine. To me, that seems okay. I don't know if you can
Especially
really
when they're
apply
an
that to
hour
gaming.
long,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? They're an
That-
hour long.
that's fine.
That's 2.5 to 3 hours of your, because they sometimes do 45 minutes. That's
Yeah.
3 hours of your week, and we're busy people. Yeah, you get the aspect of binging, like we said, and then
Yeah, which
you
yeah,
just come
it's a
back
mix
around
of
next week and
both.
you binge again.
I just don't
Yeah,
know,
it's a
man.
mix of
There's
both, and I think
they're
that's
There's
not
pros and cons. Like
they're not
I don't
putting
know,
out
man.
enough
definitely.
they're not putting out enough content for an act to make it worthwhile to me to actively want to do like 30
That's
minutes
also
of something every week.
No. I thought they
No,
were
that-
making
that
it
to
to where
me
you could
was
have the
fine.
entire act at one time.
That's
I
what it
thought
is
they were
now,
gonna-
isn't it?
No. I
No.
mean the entire.
Oh.
I guess I should specify.
Oh,
I
you meant
thought
the episode?
we were leading to all the different terminology.
Yeah.
I thought they
know.
were leading to
Yep.
where you could have, because they were starting with it, you could have the entire episode launching on day one, and you could go at your own pace then.
Yeah.
I thought
Wasn't
that's
that
what
what
we're
they
leading to.
this season, or am I crazy? I could be
No,
confused.
that's just the
The
act.
issues
I,
with the
I thought it was
terminology.
the same. I thought it was the
Because
same, Dan.
they said at one point, they said this season they were doing the act.
Yeah.
Like the 3-week structure was
that's
going to
what I
become
thought.
like merged to one. I was
mean,
under the impression that they were going to move into Heresy and Apollo moving forward. You would have that Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 all mushed together on day one, and then you could go at your own pace. That's what I was
Oh, that I
under
don't
the
know.
expectation.
That I don't
They should
know.
not go back to the one
Yeah.
act every week.
Yeah.
Because like
Or
Dan
one
said,
episode
there's
or one
One
storyline every week. Whatever.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like Dan said,
I
there's
hated that.
not nearly
No.
enough content because even it
No.
now
No.
is about an hour
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
And
You
even
know.
that,
No, they
even that
cannot go
feels
back to that.
edited. Like I will say the
Yes.
stuff that I will say the stuff that we're getting right now for this act or for this episode is like it feels like we are getting the distilled version of what these act stories are. And it feels like maybe they cut some of the chaff out in order, like some of the fetch questy kind of things, like go see
They
this
definitely
person.
cut that.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
cut that stuff out
It's
and
much better.
created a more concise version of the story that is easier to follow because you're not having to go see 4 or 5 different people about
Yes.
like maybe a thing that you get once and then you hand it to somebody else and you're like, I have no idea what that was.
You
Like
don't
I
gotta
really
go do 3 strikes to get a drop
Yeah.
to go take the heiress.
Yeah.
No,
100%.
I have no idea
I
what
hated
that was and I don't care about it. And
Mhm.
so like I really hope they don't go back to that. But
I agree with that. 100%.
yeah.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah. That was very frustrating. I'm hoping that they're not going back to that. It sounds a little bit like they might be, or like
Not a
Please
fan.
stretching it out. And
Please don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Mm-mm.
I'd
Uh,
rather just not touch the seasonal content than do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just won't touch it.
I won't.
Yeah.
I won't pass any
I haven't
judgment
touched
on
any
it.
of it.
I mean, that was the
I
perfect
like-
time
I
for you to
like-
hop in.
No, I personally have always liked the story in Destiny, so I
Yeah.
always like to engage with it. But I like to, like everyone said, engage at it in my own pace.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like
Exactly.
it's them even thinking of going back to giving me a little bit every week.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I don't want that. Yeah. No, I don't think anybody wants that.
I know they
Yeah.
are big about
Anyone
wants
spoilers,
that. Wait.
but like,
So then I can do it all at once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also better for me to just when I might have 3-4 hours to kill. Let me just sit down,
Yeah.
see the entire story out. You know,
Yeah. Exactly.
I might not have time next week,
Yeah.
and then it's all spoiled.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
yeah. We're going to touch on the widening the focus portion of this article and then move into the TWID. In Heresy, we're widening the focus of the story to the Hive Pantheon. This is after they talk about. So in the final act, we're going to go into a Dracula's castle inspired fortress.
Spoilers.
Well, that's what they said. And they
Spoilers.
were talking about like
I know, spoiling us.
the focus of episodes being that it was a widening out of the world and like to tell us to guide us a little bit on to where we will be going after the final shape, right? So in this paragraph they say in Heresy we're widening the focus of the story to the Hive Pantheon and ancient eldritch forces that shape the universe. The events of Heresy close the door on the Light and Darkness saga and act as a prologue to Codename Apollo, where the Guardian's purpose in the next saga starts to take focus. All of that, like I'm into Eldritch horror shit. I'm really into that. I can't wait to see that in the game. Thoughts on where we're going in Heresy, on if it will actually close the door or not, because it almost feels like the door can't be shut entirely on the Light and Darkness saga.
I don't know. if we are going into Apollo and not everything is brand new,
yeah,
then it's already a loss because this is a perfect time for us to leave the Light and Dark saga. So like so far I've given them the benefit of the doubt these first 2 episodes, but in Heresy you have to start bringing in new elements of the world. You have to, because that's the only way you're going to interest people in Apollo if you care about sales, and then interesting people that are active players now to keep playing as well. And it's the perfect time for a fresh start.
mm-hmm.
So I've been waiting for Heresy, not for the loot, not for at first, not the dungeon. I'm curious to see what Heresy is going to lead us into. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know the dungeon is going to be dope, so I'm not worried about that. I want to see what tidbits they're putting out there for the next saga of Destiny. And if it isn't game changing, like new stuff, I'm gonna be sad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yes, we have to leave the soul. I've always said that, like, we're going to the Dreadnaught because it's a ship. We're going to the Dreadnought. We're gonna find something. We're gonna use the ship. We're gonna leave the soul system. That's my running theory for the past 6 months. Got to.
Which is why we have all that new like seafaring Admiral Commodore armor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're gonna take charge.
I would absolutely. Bear with me, because I think that this would be maybe upsetting to some folks. So we accidentally tripped something on the Dreadnought with all this Eldritch horror shit going on in the background, right? We accidentally tripped something, and we're just stranded. We just end up stranded.
Ooh. On the Dreadnought or like in space?
In space. Hence why we need to go to like find
the Dreadnought
this
in
place in
space?
Apollo. Yes.
Okay.
We're cut off from everything, cut off from our vault.
I like it.
Yeah.
We haven't
I
had
don't
like an
know.
end of season, like like expansion event for so many years. Can you imagine last day, we're all waiting for something to happen, and then servers just die. Like we get a cutscene and servers just get shut off.
Destiny 3.
What was
Sorry,
it?
this is what it feels like when you talk about it this way. That's what it feels like.
There was one thing, I forget what it was. This is gonna bother me. There's one thing that at the end of a story mode, maybe, I was like, it's going to say Destiny 3. Like, it just seemed like it was going to do this big cinematic thing and then just shut down to Destiny 3 and just shock the hell out of all of us. And I was it Lightfall? The end of Lightfall? There was something. Was it end of
Are you talking about, well, we haven't had
it was within the last 2 years. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be.
I thought you were going to mention that when that cinematic where all the planets got removed. I know some people were expecting that. So after that, I can't think of anything.
People in chat are saying Destiny 3 is a bad idea. I'm not talking about Destiny 3. I'm talking about still sticking with Destiny 2. But completely nuking everything that you know.
Yeah.
Like
it's
Can
just
you
being known as
imagine
just like
the outrage
Destiny.
of that?
I can, and it would be delicious. But
I would love it.
Yeah.
But I'm also an elitist, so
you can only have what you have on your character.
We're gonna drip feed all of your gear back to you each week.
Nothing.
Not a single thing.
Well, then let me redo my character.
You can keep
Give
your
me long
emblems.
hair.
Guess what, Sam? They don't have bows in the new galaxy.
Yeah.
They know they're crossbows now. They're the gun. They're the crossbow.
Don't even get me started.
Don't
even
slingshot.
There would be something to be said about like a stranger in a strange place kind of storyline in Destiny 2.
Wait,
with you
I've
as the
seen
main.
this storyline before. Isn't it like Ahsoka from Star Wars?
Huh?
Has anyone seen that?
Ish. I know.
Just at the end, just end up stranded. Nothing.
Yeah.
I've not seen that show, so I can't.
Okay,
No.
cool. All right.
Sorry.
Spoiling.
I mean, you're fine.
Naked and Afraid Guardian Edition is what Gordon says. Well played.
The game's got to turn to rated M for that to happen.
Yeah. It sounds bad that there's a lot that they can learn from Destiny Rising in terms of new player experience, says Blackzard, which fair.
Yeah.
That's
a whole episode by itself.
yeah.
Mhm.
We could talk about that when we come back in January if everybody's into that. But real quick, like, why don't we wrap up? We'll talk about the TWID, or like the highlights of the TWID, and then we'll get into some audience questions. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So looking ahead at 2025, Act 3 starts on January 7th. With it comes the conclusion of the Revenant storyline, as well as new exotic mission, new weapons, and one last row of artifact perks. They'll have more details as they get closer to release, so keep an eye out. That exotic mission is probably the Dracula style castle thing that they're talking about. New dungeon on February 7th. We've got new dungeon coming. What?
Can I just say something real quick?
Absolutely.
What if the exotic is a crossbow?
Incredible.
Sexy.
Incredible, but sexy.
But sexy.
Like Buried Bloodline, or like an actual
Like an
new
actual
archetype?
crossbow.
That would be
New
right.
down.
archetype.
I'm down.
Because we're going
Don't-
into Dracula's castle,
Yeah,
I'm down.
and there's a crossbow.
We're straight
It's
up
about
Van
time we
Helsing.
get a new archetype. Yes.
Isn't it the shotgun?
Oh, we
don't
haven't done the
know-
shotgun
we
yet. You're right.
probably
It's the
do know,
shotgun.
but-
Yeah,
It is the
Probably
shotgun. Yeah, it's the shotgun.
Yeah.
It's the shotgun.
Oh.
Everybody calm down. It's the
Sorry,
shotgun.
Sam. It's
So
a
we
shotgun
have-
crossbow.
Womp
Maybe we could get like. Fine.
Maybe we still get it, but it's not an exotic.
Yeah. But
Okay,
when we
I'm good with
upgrade it,
that.
it's a crossbow. Maybe that's
See,
what it is.
now
Now we're cooking.
now you're talking about Destiny 3 stuff where we're gonna take a legendary and upgrade it to an exotic.
So February
Semi
7th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be getting another dungeon race. They'll be updating about rules and everything. So gather your fire team and save the date. Iron Banner final will be the final 2 weeks. It will return on January 14th. Just in case you're looking for Tanash's mastery. And then he says, don't sleep on reprise Archon Thunder. Adept Prophet Trials of Osiris will be starting on the 31st of January. Trials will return for one final time before episode Heresy starts. It is also the last week the Prophet will be available as a post-match reward. There are a slew of weapon archetype changes, with heavy burst sidearms getting increased body shot damage from 30 to 33 and increased critical damage from 48 to 52.8. Submachine guns, just in general, will be receiving increased magazine size by approximately 10%. Auto rifles, the rapid fire auto rifles increase body shot damage from 13.5 to 13.6, increase critical damage from 23 to 23.1. They do this to increase the damage slightly to remove a resilience gate from the optimal time to kill. Pulse rifles with high impacts, we are seeing reduced body shot damage from 22 to 21.5, reduced critical hit damage from 39.6 to 38.7, reduced ADS damage fall off scalar from 1.7 to 1.6. Lightweight pulses, we'll see increased body shot damage from 17 to 20.4, increased critical hit damage from 31 to 0.45 to 31.6. Hand cannons, intrinsic hand cannon precision frame now reduces your ADS movement speed penalty by 10%. Scout rifles will see increased body shot damage from 32 to 38%, or 38, increased critical hit damage from 64 to 64.6. Sniper rifles, just in general, will see a reduced camera roll component of flinch against players by 20%, and Whisper of the Worm will have a reduced camera roll component of flinch against players by 50%. We're seeing target lock will be they remove the custom tuning to make the perk less effective to SMGs. And Skulking Wolf now activates in PvE and makes enemies slightly less accurate in targeting you when this is active. The last two here, we have Grav Lance will be having its RPM reverted to 300, And malfeasance, they'll be adding a remaining intrinsic effect from the precision hand cannon perk, increasing accuracy bonuses and new ADS movement speed penalty reduction. The airborne effectiveness has already been baked into the stats. That's a lot of things that I just said. What are you most excited for?
Does any of this affect PvE, or is it all only PvP?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe all of it is like across the board.
Yeah.
If they don't fix peacekeepers, then peacekeepers just got a little bit more silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. None of it really affects me as far as like the weapons. So
Yeah.
I read it and I was like, okay, this is cool, but most of that stuff isn't really what you use in game stuff, I guess, besides Whisper. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, the first time I read it, it went over my head. When you read it, I still didn't understand what was going on.
I just do it for all those
so
number of people out
bad.
there. But yeah,
Now, if you said bow, no.
oh yeah. There's no bow anything on there. This time around. But yeah, I like. I'm glad that we're getting some buffs to things. I think like the submachine guns. I run submachine guns all the time, and they do feel kind of like piddly right now. So seeing them get a buff, I'm into it.
Yeah, I was using a submachine gun. I forget when it was, but I was using one. That's the point. But I was like, this is not as strong as I feel like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
it used to be way stronger.
They just feel. Auto rifles feel like where submachine guns should or used to be, or they should be. They just felt kind of pointless.
We just did an all Titan raid the other day with submachine
yeah,
guns
how
and
was
peacekeepers, double SMGs. You drop the mag, and then we two floored Caretaker and Vow with SMGs only.
I can believe it.
Yeah,
Using
just
peacekeepers.
drop the entire peacekeepers, drop the entire mag, switch over, drop the next mag, switch back over. It's refilled. Drop it. Just keep doing that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
but
bonkers.
Again, that's one class. So
yeah, like not being able to do that across everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, with all that said, with all that going also over my head, we'll get into audience questions. Feel free to ask more questions in chat if you would like to. We have 2 currently that I'm going to be pitching to the panel here. Black Zard asks, do folks think the dungeon launch in February should be just like Vesper, or should anything be adjusted about contest? I would like to see more things active in contest. Like
Active how?
I mean Tether. I mean Wardcliff Coil. I mean like being able to bring things that you enjoy playing with, or that you feel gives you a competitive edge.
Should been reactivated yet?
Mid-January, right?
Yep, mid-January.
Yeah.
What happens if that ends up? Oh, never mind. Okay, I was gonna say, what happens if that ends up falling through, and then we get a new dungeon before we get Tether in the last dungeon?
Oh boy. I don't know what you're gonna do for the next like 3 months after it launches.
I'd imagine that whatever they're doing right now with like doing the final touches on the dungeon, I'd imagine that they are probably, if they were QAing anything, it's probably that, because they know they can't have 2 back-to-back dungeons where the tether's not working.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant more like we get a new dungeon where we can use Tether before we can use Tether in the previous dungeon.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah, basically less
I
buggy
agree with that,
dungeon,
Dan. Yeah, because it's almost like the dungeon would have been in development for however long. Was it developed, and then basically be like throughout development, we're like, oh no, we're definitely going to need to disable Tether. or
I'm sure.
could-
Yeah.
yeah. So it was definitely designed in mind that Tether was going to break it, you know? So
hmm
yeah, that. And
Yeah.
we still have that disabled to this day. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So ideally, just having it be in a state where, while they may have some lockouts on the day, I mean, they always do for like raids and everything else, but like to kind of have Vespers hosts go on this long with that kind of limitation to it in your kit, I don't think that they can or should do that again, necessarily for that long of a period.
I will say that unlike a lot of other dungeons, and this is just thinking from a contest standpoint and from a in-game standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
Tether is not as much of a necessity in that dungeon as others.
Yeah.
Which is one
That's true.
upside I've said about it, because there are some other dungeons that like Tether is like super beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of lucked out with the grenade launcher debuff,
Mm-hmm.
with other options being equally usable. Like, you know, Tether would have been really great on the servers, but at least you could use tractor cannon instead. And at least for the final boss, you had the meta in there for most people for day one was grenade launchers or was machine gunning, the arc one I never use. Grand Overture.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just use it with the lost signal. So like grenade launcher were really strong with the debuff. So it wasn't as missed as it could have been, you know? Like Tether could have been super beneficial if we didn't have another way to apply a 15 to 30% debuff. So hopefully, if there is some bug with it again in the next dungeon, that there isn't a big requirement or like loss of DPS day one from not being able to apply Tether to like a boss. That's my only like thinking of it from that standpoint. Other than that, you know, if they can make contest mode again as good as they did Vesper, because Vesper didn't have many issues at all day one.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like server issues or nothing, which was kind of surprising. It's pretty good. So if they can do that again, there's nothing that they really need to touch for me.
I will say, without Tether, though, that dungeon was a freaking nightmare. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
beyond
if you're solo,
just
it's
that,
probably terrible. Yeah.
yeah, oh gosh. Beyond that, I ended up doing different things and using different builds that I never had used before, and it was a lot of fun. Going back and thinking, like, okay, I used Mothkeeper's wraps for my
Mhm.
boss, my final boss. When would I have ever used it? Like, I did that as a joke.
You wouldn't have. Yeah.
I did that completely as a joke because I'm like, I'm bored. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do
Mhm.
this. What is something that could just be funny because no one would think to ever do it? And it ended up coming in so clutch sometimes. I mean, it was just exactly what I needed to survive damage.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have thought about that if all I was thinking is how I'm going to build for Tether.
Yeah. So the limitation breeded some sort of innovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that at all.
Bungie's gonna hear that and be like, okay, so we don't let Tether come
We
out.
don't
in
let
the next-
Delete it from the
Yep.
game, kids.
Make it not work.
Yeah. Cryo21 Phoenix asks, with the roguelite aspects and seasonal content being popular, are there any aspects of other gaming genres that you think would have potential as a seasonal activity?
I've had a little bit with like Onslaught, like the whole setting up of, you know, turrets and like different equipment.
Mhm.
What would be could I can't even talk right now. Kind of cool would be to almost direct red jacks around
Oh.
the room, almost like command,
Like a
you know,
RTS kind of
really
thing?
yeah. like really step
Interesting.
into like a commander role. Obviously, we've got teammates that back us up and running around, and everyone can do stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not a developer. I don't know how much of a strain that could have on the game, but it's like
None.
if you can, if you can direct turrets, if you can direct, fire support, like anything like that around the game, then around the map, reinforce like other areas sort of more heavily, then yeah, like that's you're using strategy a little bit more there, So
That's cool. I do like that. Here I was gonna say like Balatro, but we already had a card. Like
you
a
and
deck
Balatro,
building.
man.
Dude, they're putting it in Pacific Drive.
Oh,
You can play it on the screen in Pacific Drive.
Oh
Oh
man.
my
So,
god.
I mean, why not in Destiny 2? Why not put Balatro in Destiny 2?
Swear.
There's some stuff I would like to see in Destiny that I know the community wouldn't like though, because
Yeah.
there's other genre that could possibly work, but like if it's anything that takes away from the FPS, just shooting your guns and the movement of Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
probably won't be received very well, no matter
Yeah.
how unique it is. Like there's so much they could do with ships, and I know some people think,
Mhm.
oh, we don't want a ship game, but like there's a whole missed market with like we have all these cool ships, and then there's nothing you can do with them. Like I would personally prefer like the tonic system being in the ship. Like you go on your ship and while you're flying somewhere, you like work on your tonics. Could be
Mhm.
neat. But I know like a lot of the community wouldn't really care for that. So there's some things that I can think of, but I'm like, nah. Community be like, why?
Yeah. We're already getting like a Metroidvania style thing with Apollo. Like they've already talked about that being
Yeah.
something that they're going to be adding in where
But even that, I don't know if you saw, there was plenty of people that responded not liking that. They were like, I really like the whole like just tell me where to go system. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
I don't want to get right to the boss and then backtrack type of stuff. So
yeah.
it could be neat depending on how they do it, but there's definitely a portion of the community that's
for someone
really
who's
just
ignorant,
specific.
please explain that bit. What are they looking at do then? What's Metroidvania?
So Metroidvania style games, like typically you go just dungeon crawling. Some things you're not able to get into quite yet, because you don't have the power for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you collect that power, you kind of have to remember to go back to that piece in order to get it.
Right.
Like
Right.
Generally without a map and without a directions.
generally,
By the way.
yes.
That'll
you ever
drive
play
a lot
Prey?
of people insane.
Did you ever
No.
play Prey? Prey was kind of like that.
Did you ever play Ori? Any of the Ori games?
Yeah.
Always
No,
was like that.
but
Yeah.
I'd seen other people play it. Yeah.
Prince of Persia:
Yeah.
The Lost Crown was like a big
Yeah.
one this year as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like
Drive a
But
lot
like
of
you
people
said,
insane.
some people don't like. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, like instantly, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna instantly enjoy that. And a lot of the community also felt
Yeah.
the same way because it makes sense.
You have a
I
lot more
feel like
agency,
I'd like it.
A lot
Yes,
more
a lot more
agency.
agency. Yes.
which
Yeah.
is interesting because this community always has. I'm not trying to hate on the community,
Say it.
okay? This community always seems to have something to say about how they have nothing to say. They
Yeah.
have no say in what's going on. But now that they're going to have something to say, they're going to want to have nothing to say and just tell me where to go. It's like, I don't have enough agency in this game now. Okay,
Mhm.
well, here's some agency. Just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
And
Another
Bungie can't win.
yeah.
Can't win either way.
It just frustrates me. I'm
If they
just
were to do that, like YouTubers would be popping off though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
Them
shouldn't
doing
make content for
walkthroughs
YouTubers.
Yeah, that's true.
specifically.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like or for streamers, they shouldn't.
no.
Like there's something to that experience though that like because I talked earlier about like the story of a weapon, right? Of like you earning that weapon. There's something in a Metroidvania of like, yeah, so I ran up to this thing and I couldn't get it, but then I found this thing later on that
Mhm.
like was Animal Well is one. Like the yo-yo and animal well. Like you get that and you're like, oh, I could just kind of like lead these guys away with that. And it's something that you pick up fairly early on, I believe, but it's something that opens up the world wider and allows for a sense of discovery and allows you to take ownership over that discovery in a way that I
Does
actually
it give you like even like a quest, like or anything in your journal, or is it literally just all
As
on
far
you to
as
follow it up?
what?
So not that it would like add like a waypoint or a marker to like for you to return, but you know, just say in your journal or whatever that you do have this, so you get however many hours played in down the line, you're like you don't actually forget about it.
Generally, in most Metroidvanias, when you get a new power, you kind of it instantly kind of sparks in your memory because of how much you've had to be in that play space.
Mhm.
You kind of know, oh, this place that I couldn't get to earlier, I can go to now. But it's just because of the way the game is built.
Mhm.
You go through that. Say you go through a door 20 times, and there's another door behind it, and you can't go through that door yet. But you go through a side door, and you open up a box, and it has a key.
Yeah.
You know you need to go back through the door, then go to that door because you can now access it.
Mhm.
It generally, that's
Yeah.
kind of how it is. You go through it enough times already that even if you don't know the exact spot, you remember because you've gone through it enough times and it's been blocked off that you now have access to it.
Mhm.
And it kind of just sometimes in some minor ways, not obvious ways, it'll lead you back there. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
I
Mhm,
already
mhm.
have this. The only thing I can do is go back to there. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have many options
Mhm.
once you get it.
Yeah.
The only thing I can reference that is like there's aspects in Skyrim, like whilst you're doing
Mhm.
like another
Yeah.
quest,
Yeah.
you will then come
Mhm.
back past something, right? And so
Yep.
that yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
It wouldn't be as bad in Destiny. I know that's what
No.
some people are worried about.
I don't.
But
if
even
that's
like
what
on
I'm,
the Foundation, it could be cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A game that I think everybody should play because I don't think enough people played it is actually Prey. It came out in like 2017. It came out in like a buggy mess. But it is more of like an immersive sim kind of Metroid-y kind of thing in a first person space. And it's really fun. It's really, really solid. It has those elements where like, oh, I got this now, so I have this adaptation to my glue gun, so I can just make stairways up this wall and get to this terrace that I wasn't able to get to before. Like, it allows you that ingenuity, that discoverability, that that could be cool in
Oh, I
Destiny.
see. So like you've played the Star Wars Jedi Survivor games.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
so you
Jedi
have
Survivor,
that. Yeah,
yes.
so you
Yeah.
upgrade
Mhm.
stuff as you go along,
Yeah.
and then like you get 2 planets away,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I finally upgraded this. Now I can get back to that bit.
Yeah.
Back on the first planet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Survivor and Fallen Order both have
There's no bloody issue with that.
Metroidvania small, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They
There's
take
no
cues
issue
from
with
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There's definitely a difference between Castlevania and
Mm.
Jedi
Mhm.
Survivor. So it would be interesting which side of the Metroidvania system they
Mhm.
went, which is probably closer to Jedi Survivor than Castlevania.
I can't imagine them going
Cool,
that
cool.
hard in the paint.
They would never.
like
No.
I don't. Yeah. I like. There's still going to be some of that like
Don't
breadcrumbing
we,
along.
all right. Again,
But
don't we
and
already
you're gonna
have one?
oh, you're also gonna have all of the triumphs and all
Yeah.
of the
Hmm.
Mhm.
these things to collect. I mean, we have all the stuff in
Yeah.
the menu where
For
we
sure.
already know kind of where the story's going because we have all of these seasonal challenges and we have the triumphs. So I think it'll probably bug some people that they can't get them all done in an order, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
you'll still know what you kind of have to do and where you
Mhm.
go back to.
We kind of like already have that a little bit, don't we? Like when we're doing like those seasonal missions or whatever, where we're going through, we're like, oh, there's a door there and I can't access that anyway, but it's time gated, so we can't come back for like a couple of weeks until we upgrade this thing and the seasonal artifact or at the vendor. It's kind of like already there, no?
I guess it depends on what they end up doing because we don't know what their idea of Metroidvania Destiny is.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big concept.
Such a big concept and new. So yeah.
Cool. No, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
I'm
absolutely.
just all about anytime they're trying something brand new, I'm gonna always at least give them
for sure.
a shot.
Yeah.
Because definitely need it. So
Because it could be cool. The roguelite aspects have been cool.
Yeah.
And well executed in a lot of ways. Like there have been some aspects of it where I like deep dives. I didn't dive all that much, but that was mainly because of traversal stuff. Like, but
and I
yeah.
love deep dive.
Yeah. 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 Zard in chat. We sort of have it, but the campaigns are still linear. They emphasize the campaign would not be linear.
Yeah.
For Apollo. We got we got one more question here. And we had kind of talked about this before stream, but I feel like it is something that like should maybe be asked. Josh.boats. Apologies if this was asked, but did you guys address the lawsuit? So yeah, we haven't addressed the lawsuit in the episode. Prior to talking today on stream, I don't know. I don't know how we had talked about not necessarily wanting to comment on it. Some of us had, but it's one of those things where it's just a weird situation that all of that's in, and the backdrop being on the corporate layoffs. I personally would want to say, just don't be a creep, and stuff doesn't happen. But if anybody else wants to add anything else to that, no,
Not really.
then I think we're good.
I don't want my silence to speak toward me or for
Yeah.
me. I just want that to be
Yeah.
noted.
Yeah.
Me
Hit the nail on the
refraining
head
from
as far as
saying
that.
anything more does not mean I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I just
It's very
do
true.
not want to put anything out there right now.
Also,
Yeah.
I wanted to read the whole thing. Like I wanted to read the
Yeah.
legal document because it's available technically.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find a version of it that didn't have like weird font issues that
Mhm.
made it very difficult to read. So I don't really want to say anything until I can, even though I'm not a liar and I like it's still a legal document, I
Yeah.
probably won't understand all of it, but I still would have liked to read the complaint to kind of get an idea of what is in it. And so until I can find a version of it that has regular fonts that
Mhm.
makes it easier to read. Yeah, like Sami said, not because I'm not saying anything doesn't mean that I don't have anything to say about it, but
Mhm.
at the same time, it is a very tricky situation. It is also a very interesting timing of a situation. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where I land on this.
Yeah. I also think there's a thing of like, we are poor people who do not have a close working relationship generally with the parties involved. And there are a lot more people on socials who are that have worked with those parties that are saying a lot of things online, and you should probably go and read
Oh,
those
yeah.
things.
I agree with that part.
Yeah. So
Elevating those voices
Absolutely.
are way more important than my voice in a lot of situations like this. And this is definitely as someone who's very vocal about these type of things, and I think it's important because anyone with a following needs to understand that you have some form of power, but it's
Mhm.
also important to know in times like this, sometimes your voice is not as important as those actually affected by these situations.
Yes.
So to
Mhm.
base all that off of what Sami also said, sometimes silence does not equate to whatever you assume silence means.
Mm-hmm. To
Sometimes
complicity.
it's more important to complicity. Sometimes it's more important for me to at least elevate those people actually affected and their points of view and their experiences instead.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I also think if it comes down to it in the future, it's probably more important to have a dedicated episode to that situation and in general,
Yes.
that entire topic.
Yeah.
Both of those were said the exact right way, guys. So good on yous. Yeah, solid. Just we'll find out everything we need to find out as it goes on, and hopefully it all works out the best way it possibly can.
All right. With that Band-Aid ripped off, where can we find everybody on the internet? I don't know how to transition out of that. Like,
I think that's a
Sorry
great
about it.
transition.
you know?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Where
Yeah.
can we hear what you do have to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Good
in
job.
charge of segues now, Sammy.
Oh gosh, no.
Segway Sammy. That's what we're gonna call you.
Mm-hmm.
Sam just comes in actual segue, guys. We're going over here.
We're going
The
this
transition
way.
is just a cat on a desk. There you go.
I do have another cat on my desk.
Mhm.
Isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
Go. Let's go.
Like that Star Wars transition just comes in.
Exclamation
Yeah,
mark,
just the
cat
white-
desk.
Just a cat just
Desk
walking
cat.
the desk. Yep.
But anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
So yeah, let's actually do it. So Bona, let's start with you, and then we'll work our way around the cube. Where can people find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me everywhere but Twitter, and same name, absolutely everywhere. And I am live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the moment. During the day, in the morning, for you guys in the US.
Heck yeah. Epic Dan, what about you?
You can find me on Twitch every day. I never have a schedule, but if you find me live, I'm probably live for a mad long time. That's all I can say. You can also find me on Blue Sky, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok. Until they are banned in the US, I'll be there.
January 19th?
Or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Google EpiDan22. You're gonna find all the platforms.
Okay. Sammy, what about you?
I'm all over the place. Twitter and Blue Sky mostly, where I post. I'm going to be posting onto YouTube soon. My full Soul of Flawless Elbow, no HUD, no artifact mod, super free, no super originally spoiler free run. My YouTube name is Sami Cat, but most of I think I'm Sami Cat on Blue Sky and YouTube and Twitch, and then Sami Cat plays pretty much anywhere else. If you don't find me either of those, I'm probably not there. I gotta find a much easier way to say this.
I like the way you say it now.
Yeah.
You guys gotta
Thank
keep that.
you.
Just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep the pattern. I simplified my life this week and finally put out my website. So,
Ooh.
if you want to find me, don't go to Twitter. Don't go to all those platforms that other people own and stuff. Go check out my website, danfinity.gg. Very easy, very clean. danfinity.gg.
Hey
And
Dan.
sign up to the newsletter.
Yeah, sign up to the. I'm currently going through a review.
Ooh.
I'm currently going through a performance review process. I do this every year, and I usually ask people like in exchange for your viewing habits while you're on Twitch. And this year I usually like use that to help better myself over the next year. This year we're also doing a community award show called the Dandies on
That's
January 2nd.
Hey, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're doing
my
a
gosh.
community award show called the Dandies on January 2nd, and you can nominate and vote through my performance review. And at the end, if you do decide to subscribe to the e-newsletter and give your email address there, I'm actually giving away a tower pamphlet emblem to one lucky person. Just going to raffle it off based on who sent me emails. So there's that. Go check that out.
Awesome.
That's on a banner at the top of my website, danfinity.gg. There we go.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
GG's on your new website.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much. With that said, this has been
His new
episode
website, but
84.
sexy.
But sexy.
Yeah, there you go.
But sexy.
Sexy.
That's the name of this episode now, but sexy.
But sexy, yeah.
Exactly.
But,
Yep.
but 2 T's.
The dawning, but sexy.
Yep. The dawning, but sexy.
God.
Yeah. There we go.
Dreadnaught, but sexy.
Dreadnought. It's sexy. I put that on Blue Sky. I was like, I cannot not say that. That was
There we
too
go.
funny.
That's what the episode's going to be called. We have
The
That's
Dreadnought,
it.
but sexy.
Dreadnaught, but sexy.
This has been episode 84 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Thank you so much for listening in. You can catch this on wherever you get podcasts, on Apple, through Spotify, wherever you get them. This will be up later tonight on YouTube. And next week there will be a new home for this on twitch.tv. We'll figure out whether we can get Destiny Digest or not. I'm figuring that out tonight. So check us out then. And until then, be well, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.